I will tell you the tale of searching for non-existent hidden loot, derailing a dungeon master's campaign, and a paladin who is forced to be lawful stupid. Hello, I am the awkward GM Corbin, and I am here to tell you my first experience with D&D. Stay till the end and I will tell you 3 GM design tips that I learned from this experience. I'm not going to use names for this story. Also, it's been about 10 years since it happened, so take everything with a little grain of salt. Today's sponsor is Matthew from Warlock's Sanctum Games. He's a professional game master, and you can find a link in the description to his Start Playing account if you'd like to hire him. We start with the Dungeon Master. He was a friend of one of the other players at the table, and I don't think he realized what he was signing up for. The usual suspects in the group were the Thief, Paladin, Cleric, and me, the Monk. Why a Monk? Because I want to play an unarmed fighter, and Monk seemed like the best way to do it. The DM kept pushing me towards Wizard, but I didn't like the idea of running out of spells and just being useless in the corner. The party woke up in a dungeon with no memory of how we got there, and a ragtag group essentially did a prison break. Looking back, we were probably in Ravenloft, but it could have just been some sort of homebrew castle or something. We fought a couple of skeletons, and the thief proceeded to hide under a table and waited to loot the bodies of whichever side lost. Whenever we entered a room, we'd be asked the same question: do you search the room? And every time we failed horribly. We'd rolled multiple times until we found whatever hidden door was there to progress the adventure, or whatever cache of magic items the DM left for us. It wasn't until later we learned there was a rule for spending extra time searching a room, called taking 20 or taking 10. For new DMs, a reminder: if there's a secret door your players have to find to progress the plot, ask yourself what happens if they can't find that door before incorporating it into your game. It was around this time I realized I had made a mistake going Monk. Every piece of loot we found contained weapons, potions, magic wands, and scrolls. In case you aren't familiar with 3.5 edition D&D, low-level mages are one of the few classes that can use magic wands and scrolls, and me, being a monk, meant our group had an arsenal of magic weapons, which we couldn't use. I flipped between being upset with not picking Wizard and being frustrated that the DM didn't adjust for this party configuration. Further in the dungeon, we found a maze room. There were traps laid out throughout, and when we got to the center, we were rewarded with more gear and potions. Then we continued through the traps to the other side of the room, where we found nothing. Up until this point, every room had a secret cache of extra health potions. The DM was annoyed we were searching through this room in particular because he knew there wasn't anything else there, but we didn't know that. Why was he getting upset now? Previously, he was upset at us for not searching every room with a fine-tooth comb, but this one was the exception? It kind of felt like we were being punished for listening to him previously. You'd think a party including a rogue and a paladin would have some conflict, and you'd be right. But the paladin's player wasn't the problem. It was the DM. For example, we came across an altar inside a damp room. All of us knew it would be dangerous to go inside, and we voted to skip the room. But the DM said, "Paladin, you use your detect evil." And the paladin player didn't want to, but the DM forced them to. And as soon as the paladin sensed evil in the room, the DM ruled that he was forced to attack the altar. We knew we'd come back to the room later and had said as much, but we were being railroaded into this fight. In the end, the party caused its own destruction. The thieves stole from the paladin, and the last thing to happen was the paladin swinging their greatsword at the thief's head. With that, the DM called the session over, and I never heard from him again. The next session was canceled, and I got the feeling that we weren't the right group for him. But in the end, I still feel I learned a few things, and some still say that the paladin is out there in the middle of decapitating the rogue. Number 1, keep in mind of your party's configuration when designing dungeons. If there's a class the party must have, take the players aside and speak up front with them about it. If you are expecting the party to be a rogue, cleric, fighter, and wizard, then limit the choices to those options and ask the group to pick from those. And if someone really wants to play a monk, maybe think about readjusting the encounters and loot. Number 2, Behavior can be taught through level design, and try to be consistent with it. If every room so far has secrets, don't be surprised if your players think every room in the future will have secrets. Number 3, don't take away a player's agency. It not only hurts the player, but it can hurt the group as well when they are forced to do what the DM wants and not what the group wants. No one likes to be forced into the role of being the lawful stupid paladin. What are your thoughts on this story? Please let me know, because I'm genuinely curious. I get the feeling that I was a new player at the time and I was kind of clashing with the design philosophy of a more veteran D&D dungeon master. Have you ever been in a campaign like this one, and how did it go? If you like the video, like the video. If you want to subscribe, click subscribe. If you want to do a dance, do a dance. If you'd like to buy me a drink, you can send a couple bucks my way at my Ko-fi account. It's in the description doobly-doo thing. And thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.